This is a step-by-step guide on how to play like a challenger top laner. Hey, how's it going guys? JC here. In this video, I want to give you guys a solid foundation whether you're a veteran or just a beginner at top lane. As a disclaimer, every game is situational, but this guide will lay out every checkpoint you need to follow in order to be successful. Step 1. At the start of every game, position yourself near topside red or blue buff, and stay there until the minute 30 mark. This will give your jungler crucial information whether or not their buff is being taken, and to play accordingly by invading the enemy jungle straight after a bot lane leash. Step 2. Before heading to lane, you would have decided ahead of time whether or not you beat your enemy lane opponent at level 1 based on the matchup. If the former is true, keep the ward for yourself and use it while you are pushing out the lane. If not, and you decide the matchup is best left for the enemy to push you in, then before heading to lane, place your ward at the river brush near the scuttler. This ward is essential as it lets your whole team know the exact location of the enemy jungler through process of elimination. It also gives vision to your mid laner and lets your jungler decide whether to fight for top scuttle or to head straight for the bot side scuttle and mirror the enemy jungler's farm instead. For the majority of this video, I'll be referencing from Trinimir's perspective as I know every matchup off the back of my hand. Also, to further elaborate step 2, I always like to push against champions like Malphite, Riven, Aurelia because pushing gives me lane priority, and lane priority is very important in League of Legends as it not only provides kill pressure, but also gives you the opportunity to join your jungler in the fight for Scuttle Crab and invade the enemy jungler with the added benefit of healing from honey fruit plants after trading with your opponent. Therefore, lane priority is a key ingredient in pushing leads even further. On the other hand, I tend to let champions like Pantheon, Poppy, Jace, and Quinn push me in, as I straight up lose early and would get myself killed if I tried to play any other way. Remember, if you don't have priority early game, it is a very good idea to donate your first ward for Scuttle Vision and to tell your jungler to play accordingly with the knowledge that you will not be there to help them early on. Knowing every matchup on a deep level is very essential to climbing and becoming a challenger player, and it requires a lot of experience on that champion. A good way to fast track this process is to watch VODs of challenger players showcasing your desired champion. Step 3. Lane management. Now that we are in the lane, these tips will help you create the best possible gold and EXP leads against your opponent at any given situation. You can look to control the minion wave via shoving, freezing, or slow pushing, all of which are strategies to maximize your lead and minimize theirs. Let's start with freezing. This is achieved when the enemy minion wave outnumbers yours by 4, creating a potential permanent freeze. The whole point of freezing a wave is to keep the minions at a safe spot near your tower, while the enemy laner is forced to overextend and play aggressive. This tactic is also great when the enemy laner recalls, because it gives you a massive level and gold advantage. Freezing the lane forces the opponent into a very awkward position if they cannot push you in successfully, opening them up to ganks as you zone them off from gold and EXP. Next tactic is shoving. This is normally done when you have a wave clear ability or items such as Tiamat, and you can instantly get your minion wave to crash into the enemy tower. The purpose of this is twofold. It allows you to recall without much interaction from the enemy laner, while the minion wave bounces off of their tower back to you. The other reason is to deny your opponent as much gold and EXP as possible following their departure, either from landing a kill on them or when they leave the lane via roaming or teleport. Be very careful though. If done incorrectly, the minion wave could freeze just outside the enemy tower, which could end really badly for you. The final lane management tactic is slow pushing. This is done by only last hitting minions until 2 or more waves have gathered from your side, then shoving all those minions into the enemy tower. This tactic is great for a number of reasons. Number 1, it allows you to safely overextend into the enemy laner's side with little to no way for the enemy to punish you because your minions just output way more damage than any champion during laning phase. Number 2, it allows you to potentially score 2 kills in exchange for 1 even if you get ganked, given that you stand your ground and fight among your minions. Dying in a situation like this is fine because that massive minion wave that you gathered would have crashed into tower following all 3 of the players' deaths. Number 3, it is actually really good if you plan to set up a tower dive on your opponent. The giant minion wave you built up will give you plenty of time to stack up your keystone like Conqueror for that dive. As a result, getting a kill or even going 1 for 1 puts you at a massive advantage because your opponent will miss precious gold and XP due to not being alive while that massive minion wave that you built up is dying to their tower. In plat elo and below, you can even slow push a wave and have the enemy laner unknowingly auto attack you, causing your minions to all retaliate. This tactic allows some of the cleanest kills you would otherwise not be able to obtain. Step 4. Game knowledge. This part ties in really closely with matchups and lane priority as previously mentioned. It comes from playing this game a lot, but having genuine curiosity after playing each game and finding out more information about specifics of the enemy champion and their abilities really help and shine through in improving your gameplay against the champion that you are playing at all given points in the game. This is mainly the reason why I recommend everyone that is serious about climbing in rank to stick to just one main champion, which you would play about 80% of the time, with 1 or 2 backup champions in case of a ban. If you are just starting out and cannot keep up with all of this information, the most important thing you need to know is this. Write it down and memorize this part. Flash is on a 5-minute cooldown, Teleport is on a 6-minute cooldown, unless cancelled then it's 4 minutes. Heal is on a 4-minute cooldown, Ignite is 3.5, and Barrier is 3. In the top lane, you'll see Ignite, Teleport, and Flash pretty much every game. Pay very close attention to summoner spells being used and ping it. Then later on when you're walking back to lane or when you're free, add the appropriate cooldown to the ping timestamp and type it out in chat. This gives you a massive advantage because you and your jungler now know the exact cooldown of their Flash or Teleport, and you can use this to your advantage to set up the next free kill on top lane and start the snowball. Now that's game knowledge right there. Step 5. Mid to late game. This completely depends on your champion. The overall goal is to take First Blood Tower, secure Rift Herald, and take even more towers, eventually Nexus, because you are just unstoppable. But things don't always go so well, so therefore to become this unstoppable machine, follow this rule of thumb. Always try to take Krugs or Gromp whenever you're walking to lane. Assume that step 3, lane management, was done correctly, you'll benefit from this extra income and EXP tremendously. To put it simply, top laners are broken up into split pushers and team fighters. Team fighters would include every single tank in the game and annoying runs like Cannon, Gnar, and Ryze. The playstyle is as follows: always split push a side lane as aggressively as you can without putting yourself in danger of dying. Taking towers is great, but pushing minions into the tower will give you lane priority. The idea is to shove your opponent into the tower so that when you do teleport for say Baron, it creates a 5v4 situation, giving you that free win. The best times to teleport are as follows: after recalling to base, or when you just shoved a wave into the enemy tower. Please do note that your very first teleport should almost always be for top lane, because you will generally fall so far behind if you use it anywhere else. On the other hand, if you are a pure split pusher like Tryndamere, you will need to find a way to 1v1 any matchup because team fighting is very bad for champions like Tryndamere. As a pure split pusher, your job is as follows: shove enemy into tower and look for opportunities to poke or dive them. Take all the enemy jungle camps, dragon, and towers. The best split pushing ward locations are as follows. Also, always watch the minimap closely for enemies rotating to you. Split pushing will fail if the enemy has hard engage ults like Ornn or Malphite to potentially wipe out your team, or conversely, global ultimates like TF can really pressure you from pushing too aggressively without running the risk of getting caught out and dying for free. If the latter is the case, play according to your champion's limits without dying, because the key here is to pile on constant side lane pressure to force a response, to keep that Malphite or Ornn in lane, you know. As for split pushing, the priorities is as follows: take camps on the way to lane, shove minions into tower as far as possible while staying safe, take the tower whenever you can, devise a plan to successfully whittle down or 1v1 your opponent, take enemy jungle camps, and lastly, dragon. Just rinse and repeat until you take out their base. On a side note, in some cases during split pushing, after seeing your opponent come to hold the tower, you can potentially look for a roam or flank in the mid lane to create that 5v4 situation. This is not always advised, so use your best judgment on this call. Remember, the worst thing you can do as a split pusher is die for free. That's it for the guide. If you want to see similar content, remember to subscribe. I actually have a series where I get a low bronze account and climb it all the way to diamond, and that series is completed already, so you can watch it all the way through. So this video just won't be about me talking, I'll actually demonstrate everything I've shown here in the bronze to diamond series. So if you want to check that out, link is in the description below or on the cards above. And remember to drop that like to show your support if this video has helped in any way, and I'll be back with more great content. Cheers.
Why is Lil Teapot so good, man? Fuck. Why are you so fucking good at Tryndamere?
We should have got that one that game, but I got caught twice at the end.